And welcome back, everybody. This is Movies and Beyond. This is our review of Ahsoka Episode 6. Grand Admiral Thrawn is back. But do you know who else is back? Kyle, how are we doing?
Yes, Ezra is back.
Ezra is also back. Yep. Spoilers. Sorry. But I don't care because I had this spoiled for me twice today. So,
What did you have spoiled for you?
Thrawn's return and Ezra's return. As soon as I woke up on my phone, and this is what we are talking about, which I'm going to talk about at the end of this episode a bit more, if they just brought it another 2 hours earlier. But anyway, Ahsoka, Episode 6. Very light on Ahsoka, but I don't have a problem with that. We got in the beginning with her and Hugh Yang, and I love Hugh Yang's line of when he starts to tell the story, and he goes,
A long time ago,
in a galaxy
in a
far,
galaxy
far away. Goosebumps
Yeah,
just went up my eye. I was like, oh.
yeah.
Thrawn was great. Lars Mikkelsen, I thought, was fantastic as Thrawn.
I'm gonna be honest. I just want to say one thing about Thrawn. He looks like a mix between Kevin Spacey and Elon Musk.
But you know whose brother it is, don't you?
No.
It's Mads Mikkelsen's brother.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I don't see that. I see Elon Musk had an unconsensual baby with Kevin Spacey.
Okay, fair enough. If Kevin Spacey's involved, it will be unconsensual. But still, I loved Thrawn in this. It's like they've just ripped him. I know he's very different from Book to Rebels. The version of Thrawn that I'm most familiar with is Rebels. Obviously, I know different things about him from the books, but you know it does help getting the voice actor who did it in Rebels and just brought him straight from that to on screen because there were no difference in his voice. It's like that is Thrawn, without a doubt. That is Thrawn. Just the presence he brings when he's on screen, you know, him just marching down past all them troopers, which I've heard a theory about them troopers, which I want to share with you once we get to that. I'm not gonna, we only got a little bit of Ezra, so I'm not gonna judge that just yet. I think the cast looks great as the role, but we only got 4 minutes, so I'm not gonna judge it off that. Ray Stevenson again, wow, oh my god, we need an animated prequel or something for this guy, because that's what they're gonna have to do now. But and when he's speaking to Shin and he's like, on about Sabine, and she's trained as like a Buchan Jedi or something. And she says, "Oh, like me." And he goes, "No, I trained you to be something better." And do you think Balin's gonna go against Thrawn?
Essentially, I never saw Balin's character. Well, them two sticking with the bad guys. I thought they were gonna part ways, not necessarily work with the good guys.
It looks like they're just against the whole,
Yeah, they might end up being like in a sense of because, like they said, the enemy of my enemy is also my friend.
Yeah.
So maybe that works. Maybe that'll happen with with what happens with Ahsoka and stuff like that. Because he's looking for something on that planet, and he's not after Thrawn or anything. He's just wanting to get to this planet.
Yeah, and he's saying
He's got his own objective.
He does, and he says they're trying to flee the planet because of something like a power greater than theirs, or something like that. Yeah, R.I.P. Ray Stevenson. Oh my god, he was meant to play this role, and I just wish we could have got more. Because I know when Ahsoka episode 8 ends, I'm gonna be like, part of me's hoping that they write the character out in a way so it's like he got to tell his full story instead of it just being left at the end of like no. A bit of a.
I just say one thing. Sorry, on the border of our thing, I think you have it selected.
Yeah, but it won't show on that.
Okay, right. Just checking. It just looks like it just looks like it would, but yeah.
No, it records the screen itself.
Okay.
Not the record. It's fine. It's always selected pretty much.
Okay.
But yeah, a bit of a Sabine heavy episode. What did you think? I know you've not been a big fan of the character so far. Um,
So, right, trying to get my words out. So, since last episode, for me, things have only really kicked into gear. And it's kind of annoying because it should have kicked into gear at least at the end of episode 1 or at the start of episode 2. It kind of just didn't feel like it dragged along, but it didn't feel like there was a you know something going on kind of thing. It felt a little flat. But after the last episode, obviously I'd say it's probably one of the best Star Wars things we've ever gotten from Disney, at least. Um, but as a whole as well, I'd say it's probably one of the best things. And coming off that episode, it's like it was kind of a given that nothing's gonna beat that. Like this week's episode isn't gonna beat that. But for me, because of how much I've not really enjoyed seeing Sabine and just I've not enjoyed the character. I am now starting to enjoy the character a lot more.
I
You
think
know,
it's when you start to see her friendship with Ezra more. I think that's when you'll start to
it
really.
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't when she met
Yeah,
Ezra. It
yeah,
was
but
just. It was
you
just
know,
when she was on a little solo thing there, and she wasn't. She was kind of not acting like a bit of a brat anymore. Or I don't think she really was a brat. I just didn't. She just wasn't interesting. And
yeah,
this episode is the only episode where I've been like, oh, I'm more interested in following this character. So
yeah,
I'd be happy to have a full episode of just Sabine with her traveling with that dog horse thing.
yeah. Um, Another thing I want to add to this is Star Wars. Obviously, you haven't seen Rebels, so I want to know your opinion on this. But you're quite well versed in the lore. You know, you do know things that have happened.
Hmm.
I'm saying this right now. People who watch The Mandalorian, who hadn't watched Star Wars in their life and liked it, like a person at work who got into it, he's watched Star Wars when he was younger. He's not a big Star Wars fan. Got him into The Mandalorian. He loved it. I told him, start watching Ahsoka. I've got a feeling people like that, and especially an episode like this, are not going to have a fucking clue what's going on. They're going to think, what have I missed? And not know there's this entire animated series there. Which for people like me who watched Rebels, this is great for me. And make more things for me. If everything were made for me, my life would be perfect. But this is kind of going to... It's either going to push people away, or they're going to go, what's this Rebels thing? And go back and watch that.
I don't think it'll push people away. I just think it'll be very overwhelming.
Yeah,
Um, it tried to ease Thrawn in and Ezra as much as possible. They tried to ease it in. I think they did an okay job at it. They could have done it maybe a
so,
little better.
yeah, definitely tease with the Ezra, but I'm so glad we got Thrawn from pretty much nearly the
Yeah.
beginning of the episode, and didn't get like a
No,
tease last week or a
yeah, but
yeah,
I'm saying is like the episode so far. I
yeah.
mean, we've seen like a hologram. We know that Sabine is after trying. She's doing this for Ezra. That's whole objective, and then you get to see Ezra. I feel like the whole reveal of Ezra was a bit like, I don't really know the character, but I was kind of like, oh,
He's just there.
he's just gonna be there.
Yeah.
I thought it'd have like a nice, cool reveal, kind of like how Thrawn did.
I'll wait until he gets his
Um,
lightsaber back.
yeah, probably. But yeah, no, I love Thrawn in this. Like I said, I don't know anything about him in Rebels. I know a little bit more in the legend stuff in the books, which isn't canon. But from what I've heard, Thrawn is like one of the best characters, and people want him. It's like Starkiller from the Force Unleashed games, and other characters that are in Star Wars Legends. People want some of these characters to be brought over into canon to
Yeah.
actual Star Wars, and they've done that with Thrawn, and people obviously are over the moon by it. So yeah, I found it a little overwhelming considering that I do know a little bit, and I do know that there is the Star Wars Rebels show, which kind of explains it a little bit. But that being said, it still felt like, you know, I'm glad it wasn't constantly chasing for Thrawn. I can't lie, I was expecting to be like, oh, Thrawn's gonna show up at the very end of the show, or he's gonna be revealed to be
Well,
at the end of the show he's gonna be revealed to be dead, and I think that would have been the worst thing ever. For
Thrawn,
them to just drop
yeah,
it in,
Thrawn's definitely going to be the villain of the Mandoverse film, without a
yeah,
doubt. I said, when the show started, I said they've got to be on their way to Thrawn at least by the end of episode 4. And to be fair, there was. But I don't think we could have anticipated what type of episode 5 was going to be. Without obviously knowing what were coming. So technically they have done that. They went on their way to Thrawn by episode 4. And, the next episode, which includes them characters that was going to him, he's there. Ready. A little thing about his troopers though, Kyle. Obviously, we go to what is it, the Night Sister home planet? Out of the galaxy, which is, I love me some Dathomir, what do they call it? Her Dathomiri sisters or something like that.
magic. They don't call it. It's like you pronounce it magic, but it's like spelt differently,
Yeah.
which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, because you have subtitles on, don't you? So you notice things like that. But so did you notice what the troopers were called?
I honestly, I was just looking at their armor. I didn't really
They were
concentrate because
called
I just thought
Night
these guys were
Troopers.
cool. Oh, very cool.
So, are all these stormtroopers dead? And maybe Marek, who people were theorizing about, like, who is it? Who is it? Maybe that was just a character just to set up this concept of, the Night Sister magic can resurrect people like this, which we know it can. Obviously, if we've played the Fallen Order game, when you're on Dathomir, Merrin does that, and all of them chase you, all the dead Night Sisters. But yeah, do you think they're all dead?
Probably.
Because he does go to the Night Sisters again, and he says, "I'm gonna need your your powers one last time."
Yeah, and they make a point of like but the thing is, he does make a point. Like, it freezes for a second when he's when he's asked by if so Thrawn's asked if 2 squadron of troopers is going to be enough for when Balin signals them for to take out Ezra and Sabine, and he pauses for a second and he's like, well, we've banded, yeah, forces have dwindled, so maybe it's potentially, yeah. I don't think
with the fact of them, I've just seen this on Reddit, and the fact of them being called night troopers, some of them wrapped in the red.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, I just thought that line was a bit off. Then was like, why would they dwindled if you can literally bring them back?
And Thrawn showing who he is again, just his amazing memory, which is his weapon, his mind. And when Balin, and he goes, "Oh, so he knows exactly who Balin is." He just knows exactly who he is. Another thing I love about Thrawn is he studies the artwork of his enemies to get to know them on an intimate level. And once you know, that's it. You beat Ezra. Only managed to get one up on him in Rebels. Do you want me to say it now? What spoil it for you? I want you to watch Rebels, but yeah, I just thought every second he was on screen, he was fantastic. I just loved watching Lars Mikkelsen in this role. But I think we are set up now for a very interesting episode 7 and 8. I think we're going to get left on like a cliffhanger, episode 7, which is fair enough. The one before the season finale.
I just want to say this. I feel like with the episodes we've gotten previously, we've not gotten much of Ahsoka. If they want to obviously explore these other characters, I'm all for it. But don't kick your main character off from the episode. Have it half and half. Have it half Ahsoka, half Thrawn, or half Ahsoka and half Sabine. Don't do it half Thrawn and Sabine. It's Ahsoka. I want to see Ahsoka in action, and she's in this series, and obviously she's going to probably be in the Mandalorian verse film. But at the same time, the show's called Ahsoka, not Rebels. See,
Well,
you
from
know,
what we've heard, this show is basically Rebels season 5 anyway. From going into it, that's what people were saying. Even Dave Filoni
yeah.
himself. So yeah,
I get that. I just wish we get a bit more of Ahsoka. But
well,
in all fairness, I mean, it did all balance out, I guess, in a way. If
yeah,
you
'cause we
watched
got her all
the,
last week.
we got her all last week with Annie and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, do you think our just a quick question now about the finale? Don't want to jump too much into it. Obviously, we've got 2 more episodes left. Do you think our heroes will get left on that planet?
I think
And
I
maybe
don't know about
Thrawn
that.
makes it out.
I think Thrawn definitely makes it out, and then that's like
100%.
that. Oh, and then I do think that's when they all sort of band everyone together to try fight him for the movie. Um, do they get abandoned on the planet? Someone's getting abandoned on that planet. Someone's getting left there.
So, yeah. Maybe Ahsoka gets left behind, or but they know how to get there now.
Or maybe it's a case of like because the Force does very mysterious things and it does crazy stuff. So maybe Ahsoka gets left behind, or maybe even Ezra gets left behind, or even Sabine possibly gets left behind.
Yeah.
And then to tie it in with Mando for the film, it's like Grogu senses them, and
Just
it's
about to say
like,
that, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Grogu senses them, and he's like, oh, he's trying to, he tells Mando through the Force, like they're out there and they're stranded, and Mando goes in, swoops in, and maybe saves them or something like that.
Do you think we get Luke Skywalker in the Mandoverse film?
Do you know what? It's not.
Out the
It's
realm of
not.
possibility.
Yeah, I think it's. I'm not gonna say it's likely, but it can happen.
Yeah, no, it can definitely
Yeah.
happen. So yeah, I do think we're gonna get some more Ahsoka next week, but I genuinely love this episode. It's done. It's like it just took us like out of the Star Wars universe as well. It's like we are going to crazy places now, and my thing is, we've never seen any of these, like characters like Mando, like Grogu, like Ahsoka, or Ezra, or anyone like that in the sequel trilogy because they're off doing, they've settled in this other universe, away from the Empire, away from everything like that. So that's
You're gonna have to say that a bit more clearly because people are gonna be like, it's not multiversal.
So not this different galaxy or whatever, or this different.
No, no, because the sequel trilogy is based in the same galaxy as the normal one.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So that's why we don't
Yeah.
see any of these characters. Like,
But if the Mandoverse film is gonna, if they all go, if Thrawn escapes and he goes back to the
yeah,
normal galaxy that they're from, do you know what? Here's the thing. I just don't think they care. As long as they don't really bend whatever happens in the future in the sequels, as long as they don't do any plot holes. What's the thing called now?
retcons.
Retcons. That's it. As long as they don't retcon anything in the sequels, I don't think it really matters. The Thrawn can be in the mainline Star Wars universe, and maybe they just, they can just don't even have to explain it away. It's like, we get it. You've gone a very different direction. You're still connected to the sequel trilogy, but you're not at the same time.
Yeah. All
Like,
right.
that story is very disconnected.
One more question for you then. What were your favourite part of the episode?
I liked the Sabine stuff the most.
From episode 1, I never thought I'd hear you say that.
Yeah. I feel like, these 2 episodes and all the other episodes prior could have been crammed down a bit more. And then we could have gotten to like a nice juicy episode You know, it felt like it could have been crammed down to maybe like I don't want to say 3, but maybe like it could have been crammed down to like a lengthy 2 episodes, maybe 3.
My only, do you know what? My only issue with the episode lengths is the only 2 episodes I've got an issue with is 3 and 4. I loved episode 4. I loved it, but 3 and 4 could have been 1 episode.
Yeah, so I'm saying it could have been crammed down to. I wouldn't say 2 actually. I say 3. I feel like 3 episodes in, episode 4 we got Anakin. Things have started to really kick off. Yes, it took 3 episodes for it to kind of kick off and be like, oh my god, this is great.
So what you're saying is this would be episode 5, technically.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right, so we're on the same page then. Of like.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So someone asked me as well at work, is it better than Obi-Wan? And I'm like, yes, watch it. Like, I personally think it's better than Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan has some great moments.
Obi-Wan does have moments, but I think that's all it has to offer. Moments.
Yeah.
You know, that scene still gets me though every time in Obi-Wan when Anakin's, you know, speaking through the Vader mask to him at the end. It just does something for me.
But here's the thing though. It's like with the prequel trilogy. You know, the best one's the third one, and you kind of just like, you know, you can appreciate the previous 2 because it's got like Liam Neeson as a Jedi to a master to Obi-Wan, but then it's just the film is like, so you know, it's Star Wars. It's still great. I'm enjoying it.
And do you know what? If you'd have asked me at the beginning of the year, what's going to be better, Ahsoka or Mandalorian season 3, I'd have gone. Is that even a question? Of course, it's going to be Mandalorian season 3. It's got a proven track record of 2 perfect seasons. Ahsoka might be great, but I don't think it'll be as good as Mandalorian season 3. Nah, Ahsoka has been fantastic because it only felt like now with Mandalorian. It only felt like now where we was like, oh, now we get into the main story with the last 2 episodes. But no, we are set. I'd say we're set up now. For, you know, we've had the main story and now we're set up for a finale. You know, we've just got to get Ahsoka on the planet, and then, which will be next week's episode. But yeah, so what do you think we're going to see next week? Do you think we're going to heavy action or heavy, you know, setup?
I think it'll still go into the story a bit more. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit here. I don't feel like we've had an entire story yet. I feel like the story has just hit its high moment, and I don't think it's not. I don't think it needs it now. It just needs to end it off in this next episode and then set up for the finale.
So no, but what I'm saying is like in compared to Mandalorian terms, Mandalorian.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, compared to Mando, yeah.
We've, you know, we were only getting to like having like this point in a story.
Yeah, no. Compared to Mando, yes, yeah, I see what you mean. But as a whole, I feel like it could have been chopped down a bit more.
Yeah, like I said, it's achieved so much more at this point, and we've still got 2 episodes left. And then Mando did in its first 7.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway, I think that'll do us for today. Let us know what you think of Ahsoka episode 6 down below. What did you think of Thrawn? What do you think of Ezra? What do you think of Sabine? What do you think of Balin? What do you think of Shin? Obviously, Balin for me, even with his, you know, he still had a little bit of limited screen time. He was a big standout to me with the scenes he had. Let us know what you think is going to happen next week. Be interested. What do you think them? This isn't my theory, but do you think them stormtroopers are actually just like Zombie, Night Sister resurrected stormtroopers? Because I'm 100% on board with that. So yeah, Kyle, anything you want to say before we go?
Oh.
Well, technically, you did have something to say, and what you said was no. So you made yourself look like an idiot.
Ask me that again then.
Kyle, anything to say? Right, I'll ask you one more time, but you should say yes, and then it's like, yes, but what I had to say was yes. Kyle, anything to say? Alright, you just don't want to play along anymore. Anyway, I've been Callum, that's been Kyle. Like, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. Show us to your mother, and we will see you guys tomorrow for an episode of Movie News, if there's movie news. There's maybe not, because it is very slow right now. Very slow. There's a strike going on. Kyle's pulling faces, you know. Okay, yep. Anyway, see you later.